Paul, the Coventry Blaze back in town, and we haven't been successful against them in our last two games. What's got to change tonight?
I think we've got to play with a bit more of a snarl, David, and a little bit more physical. And when we get inside, we've got to be a little bit more ruthless. They did a good job. Great goaltending. We've talked about time again, but they did a good job in boxing us out. And they play a sound defensive system. And we already know they rely on Stewart heavily. But there's no point. I mean, they'll collapse five guys down to the net, and they take away any scoring chances in the prime scoring area. So we have to get bodies in that area. There's no point us just having one, two guys there. We've got to get our three forwards down low, but not give up anything coming back the other way. So we did a lot of work, a lot of video yesterday, and we just had a team meeting again today. But I think we have to play with some jam, like we did last week against Cardiff. I thought that was one of our better performances of the season, and I'm hoping that we get the same kind of thing tonight.
Is Stewart in folks' minds, in players' minds? Do they overthink Stewart a little bit because he has had such a good run against us?
I think you always get, Stewart is the kind of guy that can win you a game, and I believe he was the reason that we lost our last two games. It's 48 shots to 16 and 42 shots to 18, I think it was. But you've got to give them credit as well. I mean, they battled for that. The whole team battled for that. So, yeah, we talked about it. We cut some video on him again. He's their best player. You have to look at what their best player does on a nightly basis to try and counter against that. So, but if we play with a snarl, and if we play in the dirty areas, like we want that puck and we want second pucks, because there is a lot of second pucks there, we'll get our rewards. But we have to do it for 60 minutes tonight.
At the other end, of course, you go from probably the ranked number one goalie in the league to young Brad Day, who had a great weekend last weekend, but he's a young British backer. Will they play any different against us, knowing it's Brad in goal, than they would have if Plant was in goal or if Pink was in goal?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them that. I know the feeling when a young backup go in is, get the puck to the net, test him, and but I think Brad dealt with a hell of a lot of pressure coming in. With a goal down last week against the Cardiff Devils, and then a tough road game up in Dundee against, and Dundee are very strong at home, and I thought he coped with everything that was thrown at him then, and we need him to be the same, tonight and tomorrow.
Just to conclude, Coventry are an 8th place team, but when they play the Steelers, they don't play like an 8th place team. Are they playing their former coach, you think?
Well, I think there's a bit of that. Yeah, I think there's a bit of that, but we've got to rise above that. They're a good team. And they're battling for a playoff spot, to pull away from the bottom two. And we're looking to win a championship. And we have to put our foot on the gas right now.
Chuck, you were victorious on your last visit to the Sheffield Arena. What confidence do you take from the performance that night?
Well, it's kind of a crazy situation. I thought we played better in the 3-2 loss here, actually, in the last second goal than we gave up than the 3-2 win. But you take credit that sometimes even when you're not your best, you're able to get points, and that was big for us that night.
Do you feel you're a team that matches up well against the Steelers?
You know what? I not exactly. We have some deficiencies that we try to protect, and fortunately, we've been able to do that to this point. And that's part of coaching, is to kind of play matchups and know what your strengths are, your opponent's strengths, and so on and so forth with weaknesses, and try to take advantage of that.
There's been a lot of talk in the media this week, billing it as a battle of the netminders. Brian Stewart, who's been there and done it all, and Brad Day, who's just making his way. Do you see it as being the netminders as the key to victory tonight?
Well, both netminders need to play well. Any team to win has to have good net play. But when all is said and done, it comes down to the skaters in front creating offense, making their opponent's goalie's life difficult. So whether it's Day in net or Pinch or was it Plant earlier this year, it comes down to the same mindset for us. We know that within our system that if we play it correctly, give Stewie the opportunities against that we know that we typically do, he'll make those first saves for us.
You're currently in 8th position in the league, and whatever the result tonight, that's where you'll be at the end of the day. What are your ambitions, though, for the remainder of the season? Have you got a target position in mind?
Well, I guess it will depend a little bit on how the top of the table plays out a little bit. Honestly, I think 7th or 8th are really our two most reasonable spots. We want to keep Manchester behind us. They're playing Edinburgh tonight. Fife lost last night to Braehead, so I think we're 4 points behind them with 2 games in hand. And unfortunately, we played them in a back-to-back weekend where we lose both Ashley and Cowley. So it's a little disappointing. So yeah, we just want to be playing better hockey. You know, we've been consistently inconsistent this year. You know, there's some nights, you know, we can play with the big boys, and then there's nights we struggle with some of you would call the lower end teams. And you know, we're really striving for that consistency.
How exciting is this time of the season when all the results seem to matter and the playoff position comes into sharper focus?
Well, yeah, it's always fun. You know, once you kind of get through, you know, for us North Americans, it's like that Super Bowl area. You know, usually you kind of use that as a guide, you know, putting on through your playoff push. You know, for us North Americans, the playoffs are such a big deal. So you want to be playing your best hockey in the spring. And, you know, we want to be doing that for this group as well. You know, we know the regular season is out of our reach. So what we have left to play for is a playoff championship. And we want to put ourselves in the best opportunity for that.
And how close do you feel you are to playing your best hockey?
I still think we got a long way to go, to be completely honest. And again, it comes down to consistency. You know, we go look at our 10-game segments. You know, we'll have 10 games where our power play is great, our penalty kill is awful. Then we'll flip-flop, and our penalty kill will be great, and our power play is awful. So we're trying to get all of that special teams on the same page while continually trying to cut down our goals against, while increasing. You know, our offensive production's been better. I think we're in our last 30 games averaging over 3.5 goals for, but our goals against hasn't been where it needs to be.
What's the message that you'll be relaying to your players about tonight? Is it going to be about a fast start? Is it going to be about controlling the game? What's the key?
Well, it's work rate. You know, Tomo's guys always work. You know, their play away from the puck, you know, is fantastic. So, you know, for me, the big effort or the big message is work rate. We have to increase our work rate. We have to work smart as well. We have to put pucks in position where we can get them back. And we have to deny that for Sheffield. We have to make sure that Sheffield's not entering the zone with possession as much as possible. We want to keep the puck out of their hands, force them to chase it more so than us, and that gives us an opportunity to win the game.